Camille was a young woman full of determination. With a family to support and few opportunities in sight, she found herself at a crossroads in life. Then came the job opportunity at the imposing Martin Mansion, a majestic estate surrounded by lush gardens. After the tragic death of his wife, Pierre, the master of the house, was left alone with his son Jean, an adorable little boy whose eyes carried the sorrow of loss. When Camille arrived at the mansion for her job interview, she was struck by the grandeur of the place. The gray stone walls seemed to whisper ancient stories, while the colorful gardens filled the air with delicate fragrances. Pierre, a man marked by grief, received her with courtesy, but his sadness was evident in every gesture. Despite the heavy atmosphere, Camille decided to take the job, determined to bring a bit of light to that somber home. Her first meeting with Jean was touching. The little boy, still so young, looked at her with curious eyes and a shy smile. In that moment, Camille knew she would do everything in her power to protect and care for him. As the days went by, Camille devoted herself entirely to caring for Jean and managing the household. Pierre, meanwhile, remained distant, lost in his thoughts and memories. Yet, little by little, Camille began to notice small gestures of kindness from him. A gentle word, a comforting look. One evening, while she was reading Jean a bedtime story, Camille was surprised to see Pierre standing at the doorway. Their eyes met briefly, and for a moment, she saw beyond the mask of sorrow he carried. There was pain, yes, but also hope, and a quiet yearning for a new beginning. As time went on, Camille and Pierre began to share moments of tenderness and connection, while Jean grew up surrounded by their love and attention. Camille found herself falling in love with this man scarred by loss, and Pierre, in turn, rediscovered the joy of living beside someone who understood and accepted him as he was. And so, through laughter and tears, the love story between Camille and Pierre blossomed within the Martin Mansion, transforming that once sorrowful place into a true home, one where love and hope shone brighter than ever. Pierre was a man deeply scarred by the pain of loss. Since his wife had departed from this world, he had retreated into himself, leaving the Martin Mansion shrouded in a cold and somber atmosphere. His once youthful expression and eyes that had once sparkled with joy now reflected only the melancholy that consumed his heart. Camille, on the other hand, was like a ray of sunlight in the darkness. Her presence in the Martin Mansion brought with it a revitalizing energy, capable of dispersing the dark clouds that loomed over the place. Her radiant smile and willingness to help stood in stark contrast to the sadness that filled those silent halls. Despite the obvious differences between them, Camille and Pierre found a special connection that transcended the boundaries of sorrow. In the moments they spent together, Pierre's sadness seemed to fade, replaced by the hope that blossomed from Camille's warm and generous heart. As the days passed, Pierre began to rediscover the joy of living by Camille's side. Their moments together were like small rays of light breaking through the darkness of his soul, carrying with them the promise of a new dawn. Meanwhile, Camille saw in Pierre not just an employer, but a man broken by life, searching for redemption. Her determination to help him overcome his grief was driven by the love she felt for him, a love born from compassion and empathy. And so, through laughter and tears, Camille and Pierre embarked on a journey of healing and transformation. United by the power of love, they faced life's challenges together, finding in each other's company the strength to move forward. Within the walls of the Martin Mansion, now illuminated by the light of hope, a new love story was being written. A story that proved that even in the darkest of times, love always finds a way to shine. Camille soon became enchanted by little Jean, Pierre's son. With his golden curls and curious eyes, the boy captured the young Nanny's heart from the very first moment. She cared for him with all the tenderness and devotion of a mother, and Jean responded with smiles and affectionate hugs. However, encounters between Camille and Pierre were rare. The master of the house remained distant, lost in his worries and painful memories. Even so, there were fleeting moments of closeness, like when Pierre would surprise Camille by bringing her a book at night. Those unexpected encounters created a spark between them, a fragile bridge that drew them closer despite the barriers separating their worlds. Camille saw in Pierre's gentle gestures a wounded soul seeking comfort, while Pierre found in Camille a soft light amid the darkness that surrounded him. As time went on, these moments of connection became more frequent, and Camille began to see beyond the sadness that weighed on Pierre's expression. She saw not just a broken man, but one yearning for redemption and love. Meanwhile, Pierre found in Camille a comforting presence, someone with whom he could share his most intimate thoughts and deepest sorrows. The young Nanny was like a beam of sunlight in his gloomy life, bringing back a sense of hope he thought he had lost forever. Thus, through Camille's loving care for Jean and her growing bond with Pierre, a story of love began to unfold within the Martin mansion. A story marked by overcoming hardships, rediscovering love, and transforming wounded hearts into hearts filled with hope. As time passed, Camille realized that her feelings for Pierre had grown into something deeper than simple admiration or friendship. She found herself thinking of him during the day and dreaming of him at night, imagining a future where they could be together, sharing their lives and facing life's challenges side by side. Yet she soon understood the futility of such dreams. The social differences between them were far too great to be ignored. Pierre was the master of the mansion, a wealthy man, respected in the community, while Camille was merely a simple maid, with no title or fortune to call her own. Moreover, Camille's position as a servant made any possibility of a relationship between them even more impossible. She knew that her status as a subordinate placed an unbridgeable barrier between her and Pierre, a chasm that separated their worlds and prevented their hearts from uniting as she so deeply wished. Even so, Camille's feelings for Pierre persisted, burning like a flame she could not extinguish. She found herself at an emotional crossroads, torn between the desire to follow her heart and the awareness of the obstacles that stood in her way. No matter how hard she tried to deny it, Camille knew that her love for Pierre was real and profound. He was more than just her employer. He was the man who made her heart beat faster, the one she longed to have by her side through all of life's moments. Yet she also knew that acting on her feelings would be an act of madness. She could not risk losing her job, her only source of security and livelihood, for a love that might never be returned. And so, Camille resigned herself to the silent sorrow of her impossible love, locking her feelings deep within her heart, where only she could feel their ache and anguish. As she continued to care for Jean and the Martin mansion, she prayed quietly for a solution that might never come. Determined to spare herself further pain, Camille made a difficult decision. Despite the love for Pierre burning fiercely within her chest, she knew that staying at the mansion would only prolong her suffering. Thus, with a heavy heart, she gathered every ounce of courage she possessed and handed in her resignation. Pierre was stunned by the news, unable to fully comprehend the reasons behind Camille's departure. He saw her as more than a servant. She had become an essential part of his home and his life. Yet, faced with Camille's firm resolve, there was nothing he could do but accept her decision. The farewell was painful for both. Camille left behind not only her position at the mansion, but also her heart, which still beat for Pierre. She knew that moving on without him would be difficult, but she also knew it was necessary for her own emotional sanity. Meanwhile, Pierre found himself adrift in confusion. Camille's departure had left a void in his life that he didn't know how to fill. He wondered if he should have done more to stop her from leaving, if he should have confessed his own feelings before it was too late. But now, it was indeed too late for regrets. Camille was gone, taking with her a part of his heart he feared he would never recover. He remained alone in the Martin mansion, surrounded by the emptiness and sorrow she had left behind. As time passed, Camille and Pierre followed separate paths, each struggling to find their way amid pain and uncertainty. Yet, the love they had shared continued to bind their destinies in ways neither could foresee. And only time would tell if their wounded hearts would ever find the healing and redemption they longed for. Eventually, the weight of Camille's absence began to press heavily upon Pierre's shoulders. He realized that her departure had left not only a void in the mansion, but also in his heart. Every corner of the house seemed to echo with memories of her warmth and kindness. It was then that Pierre understood the true depth of his feelings for Camille. She wasn't merely a maid who had left. She was someone special, someone who had touched his soul in ways he never thought possible. He found himself consumed by an irresistible need to have her back in his life. With his heart racing and his hands trembling, Pierre decided it was time to act. He could no longer ignore the voice inside him that called out her name. He needed to express his feelings, even if it meant facing the fear of rejection. With determined steps, Pierre set out to find Camille, resolved to reveal the emotions he had long kept hidden. He followed the familiar paths of the village, each step bringing him closer to what he hoped would be a reunion with the love of his life. At last, he found her, standing beneath the shade of a tree, the sunlight dancing in her hair. His heart pounded wildly as he approached her, each step more uncertain than the last. Yet when their eyes met, he knew there was no turning back. Words caught in his throat. Pierre looked into Camille's eyes and let his heart speak for him. He expressed his deepest feelings, his gratitude for having known her, his admiration for her courage, and his hope for a shared future. And then, in a moment that seemed to last an eternity, Camille smiled. It was a smile filled with love and acceptance, one that illuminated Pierre's heart like sunshine after a storm. And in that instant he knew that whatever the future held, they would face it together, side by side, united by the power of true love. With a heavy yet hopeful heart, Pierre revealed to Camille the burden he had carried since the loss of his wife. He opened up about the lonely nights, the dark days, and the emptiness her absence had left in his life. He confessed that the fear of falling in love again, and of suffering another loss, haunted him constantly, like a shadow hovering over his heart. His eyes reflected the pain he held within, and the traces of sorrow etched into his face told a story of longing and grief. Pierre stood vulnerable before Camille, his soul laid bare to the light of her compassion and love. Yet alongside his pain, Pierre also expressed his admiration and gratitude for Camille. He acknowledged the profound impact she had had on his life, the light she had brought into his once dark world. He admitted that, despite his fears, he could no longer deny the strength of his feelings for her. And so, through tears and heartfelt words, Pierre and Camille shared a moment of deep connection. He found solace in her arms, while she offered him the understanding and support he had longed for. In the midst of his confession, Pierre realized that, despite all the pain of the past, he was finally ready to open his heart to love again. He saw in Camille not only the chance for a new beginning, but also the promise of a bright future, one filled with hope and possibility. And thus, united by the courage to confront their deepest fears and by the strength of the love that bound them, Pierre and Camille embarked on a journey of healing and redemption together. A journey marked by the overcoming of the past and the celebration of the present, where every shared moment became a reminder of the transformative power of true love. With a tender smile upon her lips, Camille responded to Pierre with words brimming with love and hope. She accepted his feelings with gratitude and grace, recognizing the courage he had shown in opening his heart to her. "My dear Pierre," Camille began, her eyes reflecting the light of the love she felt for him. "I accept your feelings with all my heart. I know the path we choose may not be easy, but I firmly believe that love is never a loss. It is always an addition to life." She took his hands gently, conveying all the strength and reassurance he needed in that moment. "Together we can overcome any obstacle life may place before us. True love is a journey of growth and discovery, and I am ready to walk beside you, facing each challenge with courage and determination." Pierre felt the weight lift from his shoulders as he listened to Camille's comforting words. She was like a ray of light in his life, dispelling the shadows of his past and illuminating the path toward a future filled with endless possibilities. With a grateful smile, Pierre embraced Camille, feeling whole and renewed by her presence in his life. He knew that with her by his side, they could face any adversity, and that their love would only grow stronger with each passing day. And so, united by the power of love and the certainty of a promising future, Pierre and Camille embarked together on a journey of happiness and fulfillment. a journey where love would prevail over all hardships, turning their lives into a beautiful love story that would last forever. And then, in a moment of pure surrender and emotion, Pierre and Camille drew closer to one another. Their eyes met, glowing with love and hope, as their hearts beat in unison, eager for the promise of a new beginning. Gently, they leaned toward each other, their lips meeting in a kiss filled with tenderness and passion. It was a magical moment, when time seemed to stand still, and the world around them faded away, leaving only the two of them, lost in the warmth of the love they shared. And in that instant, something wonderful happened. The kiss between Pierre and Camille was like a burning flame that lit up the darkness of the mansion, transforming it into a home filled with warmth and promise. The shadows seemed to dance to the rhythm of their hearts, while love flooded every corner of the once cold and gloomy house. And so, the tale of Pierre and Camille came to an end, yet their story was only beginning. United by the power of true love, they would face together whatever challenges life might bring, knowing that as long as they stood side by side, nothing could stop them. And as the sun set over the renewed mansion, Pierre and Camille held each other tightly, certain that together they could face anything, for their love was stronger than any obstacle, more powerful than any adversity, and it would forever be the light guiding them on their journey of happiness and redemption.